Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34. Today I'm coming back with another TTM Blast from the Past. This will be volume 4. And I'm going to start things off with this Keena Turner. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can even pick up the autograph that is on this. There it is, somewhat. Brian, all the best, Keena Turner. Now, this, if I get the lighting right, it kind of pops, but it's pretty dark these days. Which is a real shame because I'll tell you, when I got this in the early 90s, that looked awesome. It was gold ink, and it just looked fantastic. Really popped off the picture. Unfortunately, that particular auto has really faded over time. The other players who sent photos like this with ink all still look really, really good. I think, something with that gold pen just did not, unfortunately, work. But, he was a great player, a second-round pick out of Purdue by the 49ers. He played all 11 years with San Francisco, and he was part of that dynasty. He was a big part of that defense, 4-time Super Bowl champ. He even made the Pro Bowl back in 1985. So a really good player there. Now, one thing I want to mention, in an earlier video, I had mentioned my TTM for Thomas Everett. I had actually forgotten about this card. He also sent me this Proline autograph. And with Proline, what was kind of interesting with this card, he sent this one to me. I did not send that to him. It actually has that certification that you look for. There was an average of 1 per box the second year. I think it was a little more difficult the first year of Proline. But anyway, it's got that certification seal on the back right there. And when you would pull these in the boxes, typically the players autograph the back of the card. But I did have a few through the mails from players where they sent me a card and it had that certified stamping, and then the autographs were on the front. So Thomas Everett was one of a few of those. So my guess is that Proline either gave players a stack of these with the certification to keep for themselves, or some of the players maybe just kept a few of those for themselves. But anyway, very happy to get that one too. Okay, next up, I have this letter. This is from a football player named Patrick Newman, as you can see right here, number 86. Now, he doesn't have any football cards, unfortunately, but he was a wide receiver for Utah State University. That's my alma mater, and when I was a kid, my parents had gone there as well, so I was a big fan of the football team. He was actually a 10th round draft pick by the Vikings back in, I think it was in 1990. But anyway, he didn't make the team. He ended up getting signed by the Saints, and he played 3 years with New Orleans before a year back in 94. His final season was with Cleveland. But he wrote me a letter. Dear Brian, thank you for the letter and support. I didn't really know that I had a fan club in Utah still. If you decide to attend USU, I think that would be a good choice. I did, and it was. I was lucky enough to play under Coach Shelton and his staff, which I felt really prepared me for the NFL. I wish you luck in your football career, and hopefully you too can be in the NFL. Not so much. Thank you. Good luck, Patrick Newman, number 86. P.S. Remember, stay in school. And as I've mentioned in other videos, these are my favorite. The personalized letters, the fact that he would take time to write to me. Really appreciate stuff like that. The next one that I have here is from this guy, Garrison Hearst. So these are a couple of his cards. What he did is he actually he autographed the back of my letter. Now, when I wrote this to him, he was a rookie, and he was the 3rd pick of the 93 draft by the Arizona Cardinals. So it was I was really excited to have a player who was, that high of a draft pick that would actually take time to write me back. His first couple years in Arizona, he wasn't really involved all that much in the offense, surprisingly. But then in his 3rd season, he had over 1,000 yards rushing. And I still don't understand why, but he was then cut in training camp in 96. So he played a year for the Bengals, and then he went on to the 49ers, where he had some really, really good years. Multiple 1,000-yard seasons rushing. His best year was 98 when he had over 1,500 yards. He even had a real serious injury later in his career that a lot of people thought might keep him from playing again. but he was able to work to make it back into the NFL and had another really good season. I think that was like 2000 or 2001, and he was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year that year. So definitely very happy to get that autograph from Garrison Hearst. Okay, so next up is another local player. This is a journeyman quarterback named Jamie Martin. This is another guy, I don't think he had any football cards made ever, but he played from 1993 until 2008. And let me tell you how this went. He went from the Rams to Washington to the Jaguars. I remember his first pass for the Jacksonville Jaguars was a 67-yard touchdown against the Lions. It was his very first pass attempt ever. Then he went to the Browns. Then he went to the Jaguars again. Then he went to the Rams again. Then the Jets. Then the Rams again. Then the Saints. And then he finished things off with the 49ers. So really, really long career. And the reason that I wrote to him is that he played his college ball at Weber State University, which is in Utah. Now, the biggest schools in Utah are University of Utah and BYU, and then Utah State. Then it would be Weber State. Now, what Weber State is known for is Damian Lillard went there, the NBA great. So Jamie Martin was a quarterback there, and he broke all kinds of records. He had an amazing career. He was even shout out to Walter back here, he won the Walter Payton Award as the top Division I AA player in the nation as a senior, first team All-American. He was great. But despite that, he did not get drafted. So he was an undrafted free agent. And like I said, he played all over the place in the NFL, but he wrote me a letter as well. Dear Brian, thank you for the letter and great compliments. I'm deep into training camp here in LA. We play our first preseason game Saturday against the Phoenix Cardinals. Hopefully I'll get some playing time. Well, take care and good luck in football. Sincerely, Jamie Martin. So if you're a fan of the Rams or the Jags, or some of those teams, you may have heard of Jamie Martin, but otherwise maybe not so much. But I was thrilled to get that. That was a big return for me because he had been so popular here in Utah and had done such great things. And it was really nice that even though he never really became a star at all in the league, he had a great career. I mean that says something to be an undrafted quarterback and to play as long as he did. So very, very happy to have that. And he also sent me this schedule that they had for their games. All right, next up is Wilbur Marshall. So if you see here, he autographed this Redskins card right here. Definitely happy to have that. Now, I'm a fan of Wilbur Marshall from his Chicago Bears days. He was only there for 4 years. He was the 11th pick back in '84 by the Bears. He was a big part of the Super Bowl 20 championship. And even though he only played for the Bears for 4 years, he was still voted as one of the top 100 Chicago Bears of all time. So he really had an impact while he was there. Along with the Washington football team, he had 2 Super Bowl championships, 2 first-team All-Pros, 3-time Pro Bowler. The memory that I think a lot of people remember best from him was in 1985 during the NFC Championship game against the Rams. Richard Dent sacked the Rams quarterback. I think it was Dieter Brock. Wilbur Marshall picked that ball up. Just before this had happened, it started snowing like crazy. The Chicago fans started cheering and screaming and bringing on the bad weather. And with that big play by Dent and then Marshall picking it up and then running it in for, like a 50-yard touchdown in the snow. If you watch the NFL films on the game, they put it in slow motion, and you see big old William Perry next to him running beside him, and it's just such a cool play. So that was kind of his signature moment. But definitely glad to have this autograph from Wilbur Marshall as well. Okay, next up I've got Russell Maryland. I was, again, like we talk about, I was excited to get Garrison Hearst as the 3rd overall pick in '93. Russell Maryland was the number 1 overall pick back in '91, and I wrote to him. He's a Chicago, Illinois native, and I remember as a kid I always thought, well, maybe one day he'll sign with the Bears. That never happened, but he was the 1990 Outland Trophy winner, 2-time national champion at Miami, and he actually made the College Football Hall of Fame about a decade ago. So along with being the first pick of the Cowboys, He was a very, very good player against the run. He's a defensive tackle. He really did a good job of stuffing the middle, very consistent. That didn't always make for a lot of hobby love, that wasn't like the exciting thing to collect. However, as a member of a dynasty team, winning multiple Super Bowls, that can help a little. So he was a 3-time Super Bowl champion. And a big part of that Dallas defense, So he also spent a few years at the end of his career with the Raiders, and then a year with the Packers, I think, to finish things out, which just seems so strange to me. Anyway, along with that, he also wrote to me, and I thought this was really cool. So you can see the picture of the hotel. So right there, the Hilton Conference Center in Grapevine, Texas. And he wrote, "Thanks, Brian, for your good wishes, Russell, Maryland. P.S. My younger brother is named Brian also." So again, this is a really cool thing, and as a young teenager, getting these letters back along with the cards just made it extra special and made me an extra big fan. So anyway, very happy to have those. That was a good one for sure. Now, last up, I'll go ahead and kind of throw these right here and see if we can get this. Okay, so last up we have the Minister of Defense, Reggie White. This is one of my very favorite TTMs, most definitely. I was thrilled that he wrote me back. As the Minister of Defense, he got that nickname because in the early 80s he became an ordained Baptist minister. He's definitely one of the all-time greats in the history of the NFL. He was a 4th pick of the first round back in 1984, but he did play in the USFL for the Memphis Showboats for a couple seasons. And then in 1985, joined Philadelphia, where he went on to have just an amazing career. So he's most known, obviously it's kind of a split between the Eagles and the Packers. And he's a 13-time Pro Bowler, 8-time first-team All-Pro. He won a couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards, and he's a member of the 80s and the 90s All-Decades team. He had almost 200 quarterback sacks, 1,100 tackles. When he retired, he was the all-time quarterback sack leader. His jersey was retired by his college at Tennessee. It was retired by the Philadelphia Eagles. His jersey number was also retired by the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, the day after Christmas back in 2004, he passed away due to heart conditions. There's been a lot of talk that they think sleep apnea played a role in that as well. So unfortunately, this amazing NFL great, this Hall of Famer, left us well too early, but he definitely left his mark. He was just one of the great players ever, which was really cool to see. And I noticed on this auto, this is the action packed, there appears to be some ink underneath, like a pen, and it looks like he had started to write his name, and then it wasn't looking the way he had wanted, and that's where he got that Sharpie out to finish it, which is really cool. And then he signed the other two as well. Now, I did try to send this one in with a friend. This is the, I tried to send this into PSA, and it came back with one of these. So again, I'm not exactly sure. I did look online. I'm not an autographed expert, but I did look online, and him including this scripture reference from John 3:3-16 is pretty common with his autographs. And if you notice, these are all look pretty much the same. Obviously, there's variation in the 16's down here, and it's a cross on there and things like that. But they look legit. I'm not sure if my friend who sent these in, because I sent it in through him. It was the only time I've ever done a PSA submission for anything. And I don't know if we sent it to the right thing. I don't know if there's anything special you have to do to get a certified autograph, or if it can go in with the regular cards that are being graded. But anyway, unfortunately, I couldn't get it verified. But I do remember getting these as a kid in the mail and just being really, really excited about that. Now, I do want to mention a little thing on a personal note with Reggie White. He was my youngest brother Brad's very favorite player. And so I came from a home where it was all Chicago Bears, 100%. My parents named me after a Chicago Bear. They were Bears fans. I became a Bears fan at birth. My other brother, Bears fan. My sister, Chicago Bears fan. And my youngest brother, Brad, he was a Chicago Bears fan until this guy, Reggie White, became his favorite player. And when Reggie White signed with the Green Bay Packers, my youngest brother, Brad, kind of veered away from the family and became a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. So he was the lone man on the Sunday game days, and we loved to tease each other back and forth, had a lot of fun with that. Unfortunately, my youngest brother, Brad, passed away when he was only 22 years old, very suddenly, and it was a very difficult time for us. And my dad decided to change his allegiance, since my brother Brad wasn't there to root for the Packers. My dad was going to root for him. And so now we still have someone in the family rooting for the Packers. My dad has changed his allegiance, and everybody totally understands why. And I think it's pretty cool, actually. So we've got my dad representing the Packers and the rest of the family representing the Bears. But I can't see Reggie White without thinking about my brother Brad. He loved a few things: Reggie White, the Packers, and Mountain Dew. And so anytime I see those things, they always remind me of him. So it's been a while since he passed away, but it's always nice to kind of remember some of the memories we had around football and football cards he collected as well. So that's been pretty nice to have those nice memories. So anyway, I hope you guys like the video this week. Definitely got some really cool stuff back in the day that means a lot to me. None more so really than stuff like this. So anyway, that'll be all for today. Hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos in the near future. Everybody take care.